Good afternoon. I'm meteorologist Bailey Braun, and looking ahead for this weekend, we have a lot of wintry impacts into southeast, as well as these strong winds that we've been seeing all day long into south central. So we'll just jump right into it, and I'll tell you exactly what to expect. Now, it is a first alert weather day for today, as well as tomorrow, and for south central, we're still continuing to see these hurricane force winds, very similar to what we saw last weekend. And actually, speaking of last weekend, this weekend is almost a replica of what we saw last weekend. That includes these winds, and then for southeast last weekend, we saw that heavy snow, and we're going to see even more of that snow pushing in for tomorrow. And across the state, we're seeing high pressure and very dry and calm conditions. And again, that's exactly what we saw last weekend. So looking ahead for tomorrow, more specifically, you can already see that most of these winter storm warnings and just the main thing happening across the state is centered around south central as well as into southeast. Now, focusing our attention more closely on south central, we're still under this high wind warning for both the Matanuska Valley as well as into Thompson Pass. Now, Thompson Pass is where we're seeing the strongest impacts of these winds this time around rather than what we saw last weekend in Palmer. We're still seeing these strong winds in Palmer. Today we saw wind gusts up to 65 miles per hour, but in Thompson Pass, in some of these areas, we saw wind gusts up to 90 miles per hour. So very strong winds reaching into Thompson Pass. And of course, whenever you get these high winds, you're more likely to see those even stronger wind gusts into those areas between mountains whenever that air becomes more pressurized. Now for that wind forecast, looking ahead for tomorrow and even into Monday, expect to see more of these strong wind gusts. You can see gusts even up to 60 miles per hour and faster in Wasilla and Palmer. Again, those gusts 80 miles per hour or stronger in Thompson Pass, and Valdez seeing these wind gusts up to 70 plus miles per hour. Today we saw not record winds, but we did see very strong winds in Valdez up to 77 miles per hour. But even down into the Kenai Peninsula and for Anchorage, we're going to see more of these wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour. So this is going to continue into tomorrow afternoon, and then you'll notice that timestamp, it continues all the way through Monday and even into the early afternoon for Monday. So don't get your hopes up just yet. Get ready for more of these winds to push in through Monday. Make sure you're prepared and you're taking care of anything that you have outside. Make sure that you're anchoring things down. But again, the biggest concern when it comes to these strong winds, especially with these cold temperatures outside, is going to be that wind chill. So wind chill in Anchorage is at 3 degrees, but then as we look across the state, we're looking at wind chill up to 10 degrees for Juneau, which is just slightly less than what the temperature actually is for Juneau. But again, these temperatures are significantly colder as you get more of those stronger wind speeds. And of course, with these stronger wind speeds and stronger wind chill, that means that frostbite will take much less time to kick in. So make sure that you're bundling up anytime you go outside, and try not to stay outside, especially if you're in these areas where we're seeing much stronger wind speeds. Try not to stay outside for too long if you can help it. Now, as we look ahead, you can already see across the state from the western coast all the way to the Canadian border, mostly clear skies as high pressure still resides over central Alaska. But the main concern we're focusing on next in terms of precipitation is going to be southeast. Now, overnight tonight, we're going to see a second round of moisture pushing through. We saw one of two rounds move through earlier today, but that second round is going to push through overnight tonight and into tomorrow afternoon. So expect rain for those areas in the southern portion of the Panhandle, more specifically for the Ketchikan area. But then we're going to see more heavy snowfall into Juneau. So you can already see in the afternoon hours, that's when we're expecting that heavy snow to push into the central portion of southeast. You can already see then another round of rain moves into Ketchikan, and again, more snow pushes into Juneau. So not only are these impacts really expected to take place tomorrow afternoon, but it's going to continue all the way through Monday. So it's really important to be prepared and to be aware, because not only are you getting this heavy snowfall, but you're also going to get wind speeds up to 40 and even 50 miles per hour. So when we are looking at the snow, it's important to know how much to expect. So by tomorrow early afternoon, we're only expecting a couple of inches into Sitka and Juneau, but then we're going to see a significant climb in those snowfall totals by Monday afternoon. Now this is going to be Sunday afternoon all the way through Monday. That's when we're going to see that accumulation really jump, with 14 inches of snow projected for Juneau. Now, of course, this is just a model estimate. This isn't the exact total that you're going to get, but it's important to be ready for totals very similar to this, especially 16 inches in Pelican and 10 inches in Sitka. Last weekend we saw 9 inches fall for Juneau. We're going to see even more of that snow pushing in for tomorrow and into Monday. So again, it's very important to be prepared and be ready for significant snowfall to move in. So here's just a look at your winter storm warnings as well as that winter weather advisory. If you live in an area highlighted in pink, be ready to see between 7 to 12 inches of snow moving on through now. Again, it's important to also take into account the snowfall that's on the ground currently. So that's going to be very significant snow on the ground, and gusts up to 60 miles per hour are possible. This winter storm warning is going to expire on Monday for Hyder. It's currently in action, but for those areas into Juneau and Sitka as well, those areas are going to be under this winter storm warning tomorrow morning through Monday morning. But still, be ready for those strong winds to take place as well as mostly that heavy snowfall accumulation. But winter weather advisories are underway for areas like Prince of Wales Island as well as Ketchikan, and this is you're going to see 2 to 5 inches of snow, so much less than what we are going to see for those other areas, especially like Juneau and into Sitka. Now for your regional forecast, we're looking ahead to, again, more of that snow pushing in for Juneau and for Sitka. Heavy snow is in the forecast for tomorrow afternoon into the overnight hours into Monday. So get ready for that, but those areas just a little bit more north, like Skagway as well as Haines, Yakutat, this is where we're seeing mostly dry conditions. You may see a little bit of snow or even some rain, but if you do, it's going to be very light. Now again, pay attention to those wind speeds because that's another big impact that you're going to face this weekend. But these temperatures into the southern portions like Sitka, Ketchikan, we're seeing these temperatures above freezing, so that means that you're going to see more of that rainy mix, which means that if it falls into the overnight hours when we drop below freezing, especially for Sitka, that's when that turns to ice. So it's really important to measure all the kinds of impacts that you're going to face this weekend. Now for the interior, you're still seeing these partly cloudy skies ahead. These temperatures are going to drop significantly tomorrow, and it's going to keep dropping through this week, so get ready for colder temperatures heading your way. You're going to notice that there's really no winds on the map right now. We're measuring very calm winds, but those temperatures are still very, very chilly, so make sure you're prepared for more cold temperatures like you have been the last couple of weeks. Now for the North Slope, we were under blizzard warning, but that expired yesterday, so we're not really measuring any heavy impacts into the region. There may be some light snowfall for areas like Dead Horse and Anaktuvik, but these temperatures are between -5 to -10 degrees with winds up to 20 miles per hour. For western Alaska, very similar story to the interior, mostly sunny skies. This is all due to that high pressure just camping out over western and the interior. So more sunny skies ahead, winds up to 15 miles per hour, but otherwise temperatures are on their way down heading into this work week, and they're still going to continue to drop as we progress through the week. Now for the Aleutians, we're seeing much warmer temperatures. That's a result of that high pressure and low pressure merging. That's kind of working together to keep those temperatures up there a little bit more. But another result of those two converging pressure systems is that high wind. So Cold Bay, you're going to see gusts up to 50 miles per hour, while other areas like Dillingham may see gusts up to 35 miles per hour. For South Central, we're still seeing these mostly sunny skies. These sunny skies are going to continue into the work week, but we are going to see some slightly colder temperatures. But again, like I mentioned, the biggest concern is going to be these strong winds, up to 50 miles per hour for most of the Kenai Peninsula, but the strongest impacts are going to be in the Copper River Basin, especially for Thompson Pass and Valdez. So if you live in these areas, get ready and be ready. I know that the National Weather Service today said that there had been lots of damage to roofs as well as some car windows being blown out and flying debris. Those are really dangerous impacts, so if you're in these areas, make sure that you just stay home or try to stay indoors if you can help it. Try to reduce the time that you're outside, especially in the Matsu Valley as well, where we're not seeing as strong of wind gusts as we saw last weekend or what Thompson Pass is seeing, but still very significant wind gusts, especially with the damage that we already faced last weekend, continuing to see more of that damage moving through the weekend. Now for Anchorage, we're seeing these wind gusts up to 45 and 50 miles per hour. Mostly sunny skies though, but these temperatures are on their way out. We're seeing these temperatures begin to drop into the work week and into the weekend next week. But again, that first alert weather day is for today as we see that first glimpse of impacts, mostly for those areas in Thompson Pass and the Matanuska Valley. Not so much for Anchorage in general, but we're going to have another first alert weather day into tomorrow for those other areas in South Central. So look forward to more of these clear skies, but again, more of those winds continuing as far into Monday. Now for Juneau, that first alert weather day for today and tomorrow is for that heavy snowfall you can expect to see. Again, I'll mention it one more time, the biggest impact you're going to see is going to take place Sunday evening, and that's going to last all the way through Monday. So get ready for some heavy snowfall to move on through, and just get ready to shovel, and also just try to stay inside if you can. For Fairbanks, we're seeing relatively calm conditions, mostly sunny skies, but colder temperatures are on the way. This is going to continue all the way through this work week, but again, those overnight lows are really where we're starting to face some chilly temperatures. But the good news for Fairbanks and the other areas in the interior is that since winds are so calm, the wind chill is not nearly as significant. So that's part of the good news as to what you can expect to see. Again, those areas into southeast as well as for south central. Get ready for more of those strong winds continuing all the way through this weekend and even starting off your work week on Monday. So just be prepared for all of that. Do what you can to either prepare or just do what you can to stay cautious during these wintry and as well just windy conditions. But with that, I hope everybody has a great night, great rest of your weekend. We'll see you back here tomorrow around 6:30 for more on your extended forecast. And with that, I will leave you with a view of Anchorage.